Can we go ahead and begin the housekeeping comments, please?
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-2432. That's 909-396-2432. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Great. I understand this chair may be a few minutes late, Wayne, and so I'll take control of the meeting right now. We'll start with and we'll welcome everyone to our January 17th, 2025 Hybrid Administrative Committee meeting of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. It's now 10:01 a.m. and we'll officially call this meeting to order, and we'll ask for a roll call by Cindy Bustias. Cindy, go ahead, please.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti?
Here.
Board Member Krakow, absent. Supervisor Perez?
Here.
Mayor McAllen?
Here.
And Chair Delgado will hopefully be here soon.
We have a quorum?
And yes, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Then we'll move to item number 1, discussion items, board member concerns. Any board member concerns, Larry? Mayor? At this point, supervisor says none. Okay, we'll move on to item number, is there any public comment on that item? None here, none online. We'll move to item number 2, chair's report of approved travel.
No out-of-country travel?
Not a country. 3 is report of approved out-of-country travel. None. Wayne?
None.
Item number 4, review of a February 7th, 2025 governing board agenda. Wayne?
For the February board meeting, we will not have any set public hearing or a public hearing item. We will be looking at the possibility of a couple of staff presentations. We'll also be providing an update on our port efforts. That concludes my comments.
Thanks, Wayne.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mayor, go ahead.
I'm glad to see on the proposed agenda, the item dealing with the ports. And we've had at least two mobile source committee meetings that have been canceled, and we as board members have not been up to speed, as if you will, on what's going on. So it's good to see that on there, since we're planning summertime to address this rule, I guess. One item that comes to mind, though, as a result of this is yesterday at the MSRC meeting, there was a indication that public agencies and others are a little confused about the waiver withdrawal that CARB has initiated. And there were some that believe that the rules don't exist anymore. And as you and I know, there are parts of the rules that don't require a waiver from that public fleets, et cetera, commuter rail roads and the in-use locomotive rule, et cetera. Those don't need a waiver from the EPA, as far as I know. But there is a feeling going around, because all they see in the press right now is, oh, they pulled the waiver back and we don't have to comply with that. I talked to the CARB representative and to Gideon Krakow yesterday and said, CARB needs to put out some sort of press release or some information out to the world that says, that these still rules still apply, et cetera, to end some of the confusion that public entities have displayed, at least to the MSRC and others. So just a comment.
Appreciate the feedback, Mayor, and we can look into perhaps seeing if we can get somebody from CARB to perhaps explain some of that.
Yeah, I think it's needed because everything is sort of up in the air in some minds right now.
Mhm. Thank you.
Is there any public comment on item number 4? None in the auditorium. Wayne, do you see any online?
No hands raised.
No hands raised. I'll transfer the meeting over to the chair. Chair, welcome.
Thank you so much. Sorry for being late this morning. All right, so that brings us to approval, compensation of board member assistants. Is there a motion?
Move approval?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti,
Yes.
Board Member Krakoff, absent. Supervisor Perez,
Yes.
Mayor McCallum,
Yes.
Chair Delgado.
Yes,
Motion passes 4 with 1 absent.
great, thank you. And that brings us to Dr. Cesar Johnson and the presentation on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Good morning. Thank you so much for, again, the opportunity to speak with you, what we've done this past month on our diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives. As it is always Friday, I would love to introduce you to Laura Parat Mahan. Next slide, please. She was a conservatist, and she was noted for founding of the Save the Redwoods League at a time in which women were not expected to be in leadership nor have a brain to be able to organize. She snuck and did her organizing through gardening club meetings. And so she was able to rally and advocate for environmental justice through the guise of a gardening club. But she role modeled community activism, mobilized community support, and raised public awareness around the importance of preserving our natural resources. And so her name was Laura Parat Mahan. And so she's our Fabulous Female Friday for today. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. We had these wonderful displays for our multicultural observances in the month of December. You'll see that we had a multitude of different holidays representing all of our employees so that they could see themselves present in a celebration of the December holidays. So these are just some of the displays that we had out in our lobby for about 4 weeks. Next slide, please. Again, he'll see a couple others, different displays. And the feedback that we got from our employees was exactly that. Like, I see myself, and I like seeing myself, and I like sharing myself with my employees and my colleagues. And there were some people like, well, can I add to it? And so they offered us items that we could put up on the displays as well. Next slide, please. And then just as this concluding the last of the 3 displays. Next slide. And you'll see here we had an accompanying infographics. Again, as not all of our staff come in every day, but we don't want that to be a block to learning information. And so our staff put together these wonderful weekly multicultural observances that gave people a lot more background and information about the different holidays. And again, as you all got it in your packet, you can check and see it as well. Next slide. Our employee resource groups continue to be organizing. This next upcoming week, our Black Employee Resources of Change group is organizing a 2-day event to strategize on the national challenges impacting diversity, equity, inclusion. They're also looking at the attacks on DEI initiatives, the revisions toward Black history, and increased violence toward Black community members. And then you'll see that our allies and advocates, employee resource groups are continuing to increase their cultural competency by attending different trainings. And so we've listed some of those trainings here as well. Next slide, please. And that is our report for the month of December.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hurt Johnson. Board members, any questions, comments?
Always love hearing it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Now that takes us to Ron to do a status on major ongoing projects for information management.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. Ron Moskowitz, Chief Information Officer. I apologize for not being there in person. I'm getting over a very nasty virus and I didn't want to get anyone sick. Our information management team successfully released a significant enhancement to the WARE program portal, otherwise known as WarePop. This update introduces a highly anticipated feature enabling operators to amend AWR reports directly within WarePop system, facilitating corrections when submitting errors are identified. This enhancement substantially alleviates workload for the WarePop staff who previously handled these corrections outside the system. Information management worked close in collaboration with our planning division to implement these improvements. We also released a new version of the AER reporting for year 2024 ahead of the January 1st, 2025 deadline. And January was a busy month for us. We also released a new update for the AB 2716 Subvention Fund Program. AB 2766 provides a funding source for cities and counties that meet requirements for federal and state Clean Air Acts and to implement motor vehicle emission reduction measures in the AQMD. Our information management staff upgraded the system and modified the application to reflect the needed changes for fiscal year 23-24 requirements, and these included implementation of a new emissions table structure required by CARB and associated calculation changes, a new view for the emission factor data for internal staff per transaction, allowing more streamlined evaluation process, and a new auto complete feature to provide a more transparent and correct status, allowing the city to know that their report was approved. Finally, during the last 10 days of the recent devastating fires, there has been over 13,000 new installs of our mobile app, which brings us to nearly 120,000 installs. Everything else is on schedule, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ron. Board members, any questions?
No.
Okay. The next action item is actually with Ron as well. So I'll just turn it over to you for purchase of telecommunication services.
Thank you. This action is to obtain approval to purchase telecommunication services for the selected vendors based on RFP P 2025-03 to be paid over a period of 3 years. This is a standard item we request every 3 years. Funds for this fiscal year's purchase are included in the fiscal year 24-25 budget, and additional funding will be included in subsequent fiscal year budget requests. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Board members, questions, comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I might.
Go ahead.
Never heard of Lumen, but I guess they're a reputable firm, et cetera. Who is our current provider?
I believe those that are listed are current providers.
So all of them are current providers, and there won't be any costs associated with incorporating a new vendor, if you will?
I don't believe there are any costs that are over and above what we expected.
Well, thank you. And just another question. Are you real or AI?
I am real.
How do we
Thank
know?
you.
Councilmember. All right, we do have a member of the public who would like to speak unless there are other board member questions or comments. Harvey Eder.
Hello, am I being heard?
Yes, Harvey, go ahead.
Yes. Hi. My name's Harvey Eder. I'm speaking for myself, for PSPC, etc. I wanted to address what Ron Moskowitz was the second item also Ron?
Yes.
I couldn't recognize his. All right, okay. We've had trouble, the agenda for this meeting and other meetings today, you cannot download it at all. Yesterday, you could download it, but you had a security warning in a rectangular box that said, cannot be downloaded securely. Okay, that means we're opening up our information to anybody that wants to steal it. I don't understand all these systems, but I'm real concerned about that. It's the opposite, and it just occurred to me today. So it went from having that up, and I talked to Faye, and she said she was going to talk to Moskowitz. I don't know if she did. I just talked to her before I entered this. And we're getting, we have like elevator talks to get major points over, and this is pretty outrageous. Anyway, and the whole process puts a cloud, okay, under these proceedings, and this happened last week. It happened before the board meeting, and it's got to stop. Anyway, so I don't want to, waste my time on process stuff, but I think it's really important. It's a violation of the Brown Act. It puts a cloud over all the decisions. You say you want public input. You cut people off with experience and stuff. We wanted to make comments to the last thing. They only get 3 minutes for everything about climate. 15 years climate committee meeting. It turns out there's a state committee at the state level, and they didn't even know about it. I didn't know about it. It's my ignorance, and I'm shut down too. But this is really bad. So we're the only ones that made, after 15 years, public comments at the climate committee. And this is happening in LA. It's climate, okay? And I wanted to shout out. We've been doing this for the last week. A woman named Wong did a 4-minute piece on NPR.
Mr. Eder,
about the water.
This is regarding the item that Mr. Moskowitz presented. It doesn't appear the comment is relevant to that. Could you direct your comments to that item, please?
Hello, I'm being heard. Hello?
Yes. Go ahead, Harvey.
Yes, okay. Okay, we were environmental and justice organization, social justice, etc. So, yeah, you ask for public input. You're supposed to, it's required under CEQA, NEPA, and all this other stuff. And you're not getting it. You're purging the people. Okay, we're giving you examples of this and what's going on. And this has got he got some kind of award. Enough, man. We don't need him in the office if he's going to do this. Opening us up to who knows what. They buy and sell our information, Google and the social media and all this. And this is just like a front for collecting. It's outrageous.
The opportunity
It really
is
is.
to ask telecommunication services. If you can't address that item, Mr. Eder, I suggest you reserve your comment for public comment at the end.
Okay. Is there a motion on this item?
Move approval?
Second.
Second, yeah.
Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti?
Yes.
Board Member Krakoff, absent. Supervisor Perez?
Yes.
Mayor McCallum?
Yes.
Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 with 1 absent.
Thank you. We don't have any written reports. Is there any other business that anybody would like to bring up?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I might.
Go ahead.
Speaking of the website, it would be good. We're trying to do an outreach on like Rule 11, 11, 11, 21. It would be good if we could go to the website front page and find something there where we could get information or notify if people want to look on the website to find out what's happening and what that rule is all about if we're trying to do a public outreach. And in fact, other rules could be highlighted somewhere that we're working on that people will know. Because right now, as far as I'm concerned, the website is not very user-friendly.
Thank you, Mayor. The website user friendliness is an ongoing topic. And with regards to the point that you made about making perhaps space available for 1111, 1121, other rules, right now we do have limited space that we can put on the homepage. And the priority is the fires and getting information out in regards to the fires. So what we can do is, once the urgent and immediate need for the fires and getting that information out quickly, we can go back to including information, and we can make sure that we have the room and the space to update the critical rules like you're talking about.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, board members? Okay, with that, I will take any public comment that is in anybody's location or online. I don't see any hands raised. Is there anybody who wishes? Oh, Harvey Eder has raised his hand. Here are, Harvey, go ahead.
I hung up for a while. I just came back on. I don't. Is this open public comment or is this an agenda
Yes,
item?
it's open
So,
public comment.
Okay. Well, I tried to put stuff on the record at the last meeting and I was shut off. Okay. My educational background is environmental studies and political economics through UC, basically. All right. I was the first environmental studies student in 1970. Tried to get a living Christmas. I got a living Christmas tree in the Nixon White House, met Ruckel's house, who hired me without applying to the Council of Environmental Quality the next year, representing the West, 4 students. All right. You know, he was also on the Saturday Night Massacre to take down Nixon, and I was there in '74, and he represented Reagan for EPA. All right. He's thought of as a good guy. I heard Wayne speak highly of him. Okay, they've purged what we did 55 years ago. There's money coming in this district for trees and whatnot. We talked to Sing Me in this that we're incorporating by reference December 3rd, 1971, the View section LA Times, the Greening of America Christmas tree style. That's about a tree we had, a lot we had in LA. By UCLA, 1,100 trees working with Beautify America and the Parks Department and recycling the trees and all this. And anyway, so that's history, and I'm incorporating that right. Okay, it tells what happened in D.C. with Reckless Oz. I went to a home for homeless children in D.C., and they purged it. There's a 100-year history. They just had a tree thing, and we're trying to get help with that. We had Burke said they put $1 million and came after us, the tree people, the little trees, they cut off half of it, he said put in for the other. Okay, this week coming up is Davos, they have a 1 trillion tree program. We want to get that other $500,000, and it's out there. We need emergency. Now, all this money came down. He had this planning money on this for the $4 billion for climate-related stuff. You had like $1 trillion, $1 billion, $2 billion that came down for local forests, community forests, and the shading versus increasing temperature from asphalt. There's a trade-off with solar on that, and equity is not being dealt with, and that's going to be dealt with now. Anyway, these are extremely important things. So all contracts and everything, all the money coming into the district, and what's coming with the federal implementation plan have to reflect this. Enough. And we've got to look at the overview. We said that at the board meeting that this is climate. I'm sorry, Gideon, you lost your house. Was on the issue 4 years ago when Dr. Epstein said that it's okay to exempt these fires, and you said, oh, that's fine, and we contested it. We referred to that on Washington Journal 4 years ago. Did not cite your name, but we said they were talking about stuff back east from people building.
Okay, thank you, Harvey. With that, our next meeting is on Valentine's Day, Friday, February 14th. Hope you all have a wonderful day.
Bye, Chair.
You too.